Oh wow, I just saved you a whole lot of talking. Okay, this is gonna be a threefold creation. Every time I start recording, I have no idea when to stop, and then I just continue. So sometimes I just check. I just checked. I just talked for 3 or 4 minutes, and I forgot to hit the record button. Thank God. Got a bit whiny in the end. Yeah. So all I can say is this is a threefold creation. There's gonna be a bit of poetry, right? Then there's gonna be a bit of talking with the recording, and then there's gonna be a bit of art. So all I can say is if you're really in a bad place and you really don't want to live anymore, maybe this is gonna give you something. Otherwise, just go make your art, hold your planks, and push through. But maybe you're just interested, and maybe it's just supposed to inspire you. Whatever the reason is for you still watching this, you can watch it, but also know that I'm really taking my time with these creations. Like, really taking my time. I mean, this thing has a couple of days, weeks build up. I already knew I was gonna make it because I created a list where I wrote down titles for episodes months in advance, and then I just worked them off. So there's 52 ones that I already knew I was gonna do, which is every week one of the bigger ones, and then all the stuff in between that I simply did randomly to just fill it. Right, just leave the house, hit record, and then see what it's gonna be. So this one I already knew when I started recording for 2025 that actually not, because this one I left out because it's a Monday or something, and I wasn't sure about that one. So that's actually the one I only did sometime during recording for 2025 and rendering, of course. So I had no idea it was gonna be called like this. And then I wrote down the title and I thought, is this gonna be really emotional? And I said, well, I'm not quite sure. I'm just gonna start and then see where I'm gonna land. And now I had a night full of sleep. I already thought I was done with this 2 days ago, but I wasn't. But apparently I may be able to finish it today. And then while this is rendering, which is probably gonna take 4 to 5 hours, at least with the computer I have, then I can clean my room in the meantime. Right, give it a nice wet wipe. So yeah, yesterday I did laundry. Responsibility, that's what this is about. Threefold, in the end is some art, in between is some me in my room reading Dune. Yeah? So enough of the talking, this is just supposed to be the introduction. Okay? New Year's Eve, hey! I'm probably gonna be alone again. Like the last 2 years I already spent on my own, which was usually a good choice, because that just ruined their way of celebrating, and they'd ruin mine, and I've simply accepted that. Right? DIY, do it your way, because it's always your way. Always are my ways in my world. Yes. 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 Bring me to the desert, show me where to sleep. Let me sing with blackbirds. Teach me to be free. Let me voice my sorrows in any way I like. Help me, help me, right? Help me silence criticism. Let me be alive. Let me find my passion. Let me guide the strong. Let me show the weaklings that some ways may be wrong. Let me be an anchor for that which I would like to have inside my life. That's part of why I fight. So truth is a decision. The middle guides my way. I do see left and also right, but in the end, it's both the same. Extremes are there for learning. What wisdom have you found? Instead of clinging, you should let go. Right? A valley leads up to the mount. A mountain leads down to the shore. And what is more? No more. That's it. Your life continues. Suffering is part of it. It will go on until it stops. So what's the hurry, right? What's the rush? I get it, right? This is torture. But torture takes its time. Good torture means good living. Escaping into rhyme is my way of portraying that everything must flow and everything must go, right? First conscious and then ignorant. I'm grown up and then child. I knew what I was doing and suddenly go wild. Forgetting all my habits, learning things anew. I still feel like a toddler, trying to be true, trying to discern myself from everything around, to be my own creation. No longer empty clown. Some projects I have put aside. I focus on my style. I focus on DIY. I focus on just being high instead of always getting high. You can hold that consciousness all the time. It's just a bit hard, that's all. So being awake takes patience. Well, being alive means to learn. Keep the energy flowing. The rest is maybe none of your concern. Where is it going and where is it from? Those questions turned into a song. Is this a song? Well, might well be. Who am I to judge these things? Ancient spirits may be young and drowning souls may one day float, and soon they fly, and soon they crash into the lie that flying is the only way. I could be swimming or hike someday. I could be planning, I could be paddling through a swamp. Arthritis is just too much wrongs, too much coffee. Acid kills the soul inside, your essence spills into your phone that you so love, that you so cherish more than doves. Instead, you could be going nuts, could be running. Try to fast. See what happens if you choose to be the one that lost his news, to be the one that chose to stand, that chose to riddle other man, that chose to feel instead of think, that saw that life has turned to stink. So yes, I judge, and yes, I choose, but sometimes I must be the muse. I must inspire, show you how to free yourself from empty vows. That's the word, from empty vows. An empty vow means it's just words, right? It has less life than stinking turds, for turds are full. Of promises. The stink is just your hiding sins. You see the stench, but I see light. From dung there comes yeah. That's it! That's it. From dung there comes what helps me fight. For it brings forth the food we eat. It turns to soil and shows you greed. It shows you lots of things that were, but also things that have turned blur. It's all a mesh, a kind of maze, and I like playing mindful games to see what is or might well be or one day could still be foreseen, if only future would exist. Then I might cling to what I think persists. For letting go is still so weird, a bit like cutting off your beard. Once it is gone, you wish it stayed, but it grew back. And that but then too late, right? Like, why couldn't it grow back any faster? So here in darkness I do sit. I like to riddle, never quit. Like to hurry and then stop, but never really. Life goes on. Ho, 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 ho. Ho, ho, 31st, 31st of December 2025 is the release date. Record date is 4th of July 2024. Why? Because nothing is happening in my life unless the things that I am doing myself. So, yeah, you could say I have started to become already a bit tired of living. A part of me wishes I felt like I had this today for the first time. I felt incredibly old. And I felt like I was crying inside for this child that I have lost. Maybe it's a bit like Beth saying, I kind of lost that wide-eyed girl from wherever that was, Wisconsin, I don't know what she said. Beth from Rick and Morty. Yeah, it's super hard to say. I mean, when I'm tired of living, I sleep until I feel like waking up again. I've had moments, things that happened to me that were so intense that I simply had to rest a lot. And then I had times where I was running around a lot, and then I got used to running around a lot, and then I got tired again. And especially the last couple of days, there were really heavy emotions weighing me down, and sometimes I can almost tell where they come from, these emotions. Because I often feel it's from somebody else. Because I myself, I'm not that sentimental. I am not really a sentimental person. I'm kind of clear to a certain degree, but I feel like I feel a lot of stuff happening all around me to people I'm connected with. Which is why, if you confront me, I'll just mirror you what you feel. I may even mimic that. And I do so almost subconsciously. I have had moments and situations where I was sitting in front of people and you could see how tired they were or what they were thinking or feeling. And I was able to communicate to them. And then they always tried to deny it. They said, but I don't feel that. And then I said, no, but I'm talking about myself You get what I'm saying? And then we kept doing this, and I kept talking about what they were feeling, but I said it like I was feeling it. You know, I feel like this, and then they said, but I don't feel that, you know, but that's not me. And then I said, no, I'm talking about myself. And that happened about 3 or 4 times, and then my opposite said, you're very smart. And I thought, this is so weird, because I never sit down consciously and then share your emotions. I simply sit there and I start saying something. I start reacting to the way my opposite feels. So you could say I'm a very good mirror. And for that, people often blame me for how they feel, because I just mirror it to them. And then, you know, okay, now it's kind of complicated. Do they project it onto me? And I just flash it back, because I say, well, that's not me, that's you, right? So I can just flash it back. I can just flash back to you. You know, that's you. You're feeling this. I'm the one who's letting go, and you're holding on. So here, have a look at this. No, that's not me. That could never be me. Well, it sure isn't me, because I've already worked on that. You know, I'm doing my working bit. I'm doing my sweeping and doing my art. I'm working with my stuff. And because I'm so good at working with emotions and connecting to people inside their minds, sometimes they come to me and then they want something, you know. Maybe I showed them this once, and then they come back for more. Then I say, well, you have to put in the work. You have to do your cleansing, because otherwise we're gonna do this for a very long time. I keep doing your work, and then you go back being lazy, and then you come back to me, bring me your nonsense, and I'm supposed to transform it with a smile and wave you by? No. I told you how you can do your cleansing many times now. There are various methods, right? If you're fond of coffee, make a strong one, start making art. Start drawing, I don't know, start singing. Maybe you can write notes, I don't know, maybe you're the next Mozart. You just have to be creative. You have to create something. This is the only way that I found that you can actually transform what you may call a depression. This thing that makes you tired of life. This feeling of it's too much, I'm too heavy, I'm tired, you know, that kind of stuff. You have to cleanse yourself. And for that I can say, it's possible that it is not really the diet, but diet certainly has something to do with it. So I have realized now again, the last meal I made with lentils and chili and lots of garlic and lots of ginger and black pepper, it was quite spicy, and it was exactly what I needed. It pushed me a little. And it showed me again that coffee is a very, very toxic substance. I mean, it can work sometimes, but if you use coffee regularly, it just turns your blood into poison, literally. Because you become acid. And when you become acid, then you're going to dissolve, if you will. And that means you're gonna feel like this. So a lot of this feeling of you feel dead, you know, it's too much acid. So try ketogenic for some time. And stop drinking coffee for some time. But I have also said that already, if you're a bit like me, then you'd probably test it. You wouldn't take my word for it. You try it for a month, no coffee, but then you'd drink one again, and then you'd get sucked back into drinking coffee, and you do that until you found your way of dealing with it. So sometimes I drink coffee and sometimes I don't. I realized that if I drink coffee too often, the heat in my body increases, and I'm kind of like, that's like purgatory. And then you're being burned alive. So your spirit is kind of being burned alive. It turns into torture. If you drink coffee every day, it turns into torture, and then you feel angry, and you feel depleted, and you think that's life. It's too much acid. You know, you're running on empty, and you're trying to push yourself with adding more gasoline or something, you know. Okay, maybe that doesn't make sense, but it does. You know, you're just trying to make yourself burn faster. It's like the sun isn't hot enough, you know, it needs more juice, so you pour on coffee. And it's not 1 per day, it's 5 per day, or maybe even if it's 1 per day, it's already too much. It accumulates, it's too much acid. Coffee is a lot of heat, it's really a lot of acid. And it took me probably from the moment I started having heartburn, which was in 2014, it just suddenly started. For whatever reason, I felt like I was actually living healthier than before, and suddenly the heartburn came. And then I struggled for several years until I found my own way. Okay, reduce coffee, reduce sugar. Introduce a bit of bitter. Drink more tea, drink more water. You know, that kind of stuff. And then try ketogenic. But also start to breathe for your highs. Start to hike more. Start to spend more time in nature. Right? If you've got natural lakes, swim in them. You know, that's a much better way to stay awake than to just keep drinking coffee all the time. So tired of living can have many points, but if you look at life today, if you would look at the average person, then my standard thing would be reduce the time you spend with online content. Try a coffee fast for a month. Switch to maybe green tea, right? Green tea. But also that should be then in moderation, right? You shouldn't jump from coffee to drinking too much tea. I mean, there's also stuff like chamomile. If you want to try something else, there's stuff like rooibos. I mean, there's all kinds of different teas. I would suggest no fruit teas. Fruit teas are very acidic. If you're really struggling with a heavy depression and it's really too much acid, I mean, black tea is also quite strong, but it's better than coffee. But it can also agitate you. But it could alleviate symptoms of heartburn, but it will take some time. So I have also done cleanses. So what you can do is for a month you can take these clays, these eating soils, the healing earth or something it's called. You can buy that. I don't know, just one brand, Luvos or something, to something that binds the acid for some time. And then simply eat more balanced. Introduce greens, try radicchio salad, it's really bitter. Maybe try reducing the amount you eat. Also have less meals. But also take your time. I mean, this may take maybe a year or 6 months till you have this all together. With me, it probably took 3 to 4 years. And I'm still figuring stuff out. Because as soon as I start drinking coffee, then I want another one and another one. So every time I start, I have to struggle to stop. And it's really kind of a nuisance. It's quite hard to always resist these urges. But I am generally stronger than ever. This year has shown me how fast I can work. I mean, I have no idea when I actually started with the first video for 2025. But now I'm almost ready, having completed the entire year. I have maybe 20 videos left that I have to render, and one more that I have to record, which is selecting food. I was first thinking if I should do this one, if I should put a lot of time into creating this one, and then I decided to not do it. Simply because I feel that it's simply not necessary. Why do I feel it's not necessary? Well, it's an overload. I mean, who can watch all of this? I simply, in my way, I have no other option left. Because I was tired of living. And after everything I have done, I feel like I cannot go back. I have done so much stuff. I have adapted to this kind of a lifestyle. It's hard to imagine myself doing anything else but what I feel like. But at the same time, my life feels still incredibly empty. There is some kind of a void that I clearly cannot fill on my own. If I'm on my own, I'm just gonna be alone and I'm gonna create content. And I'm simply going to not care a lot about other people because I have no capacity for this. Because I have to make sure that my vision works. Because I have to manage to get this going, or otherwise it will fall away, and I have already been there. So now I simply have to keep going, and so every time I'm running out of work, I'm immediately looking for new projects. It's a bit neurotic, to be honest, but as soon as I'm running out of time, I realize I have to do more. So after this, after I have finished YouTube, I'm more or less immediately going to start working on Crazy Wisdom 3. And once that is done, I have other book projects that I have to face. Maximus time, which I may just have to write. I cannot say at this stage, but I have a number of book projects already lined out. 6 or 7. Simply titles that I have to start writing. There's also a book about diet. So that's gonna keep me busy for some time. It's a challenge. It's something I can do. What I simply fail to understand is what people are going to do with all of this. I mean, it's a bit much. I mean, I get it. People are really shy and really afraid of their shadows and all that kind of stuff. But seriously? This much stuff? I mean, what are you gonna do with all of this? And I barely even started. I mean, I just literally started. And I have more content than, I don't know, people who act like they got something. I don't know why so many people just do this half-assed stuff. I mean, you either live or you don't. I mean, I kind of chilled a bit until I realized there were things that I wanted. And then I simply started working hard. But I still have 3 degrees in the bag. Right? So it's not like I did nothing. I took my time studying, that's for sure. And after studying, what do? Because you basically cannot do anything. I mean, you can work with formulas depending on what you studied. You may have a bit of practical, but it's not like you actually learned a job. All you learned was to process information. And I did that a lot. I learned a lot about behavior, especially in South Africa, but also during my bachelor thesis on links. It was a lot about rhythms. So yeah, I mean, I adapt to my surroundings so I can outmaneuver people that take too much of my time, that just take me for granted, that have used me one too many times and now they just don't see me anymore. No more niceties for leeches. I mean, sure, if I have a tick, I may keep it for a day, but then it comes off. And some people are a bit like ticks or leeches. You know, they sit around smoking, and then you reach out with your hand and you say, hey, let's have a barbecue, and then nobody shows up. I have had this now multiple times. That you ask people, so I tested them, and they all fell away. All of them. And you ask yourself, what is this? Are these real people? Because I don't feel like they are. Because I asked them, and then stuff is happening, and then nothing is happening. And then I simply stop asking. And you think, well, that's modern life for you. You're too much of a rogue. They cannot spend time with you. Because they're just afraid of you. Something. Because they're afraid of the shadow. They're afraid of their own shadow. And because your shadow is always there, looking over your shoulder, they run away from you. And so you can say, what am I doing? I'm doing nothing. I'm just balanced. And everybody is imbalanced. So it's a repellent. If you learn meditation, it's in a way, it can be it can be a kind of a repellent. So I can only encourage people to do their cleansing. But then you have to fill your own space with habits and things that you like. learn cooking, eat more ketogenic, reduce sugar to almost never, reduce coffee. I mean, the way I like doing it is, go and have like 2 weeks every once in a while where you just go nuts on coffee. But then you stop. If you once in a while boost yourself a little with coffee, but you will get to the point, believe me, if you really focus on cleansing and holding planks and breath work, breathing and drinking water will be exactly what you need. This is where we're trying to get to, right? We're trying to get away from needing all these things and just drinking nice filtered tap water and breathing, right? That's where we're trying to get to. That we feel okay with just these two things. Sure, eating, yes, lentils, dal, rice, potatoes, I don't know, fish, meat, take whatever you want. But make sure it's conscious in that sense. So sometimes I push through these limits by simply eating a lot of peanut butter, but if I would do that every day, I would just... So I also need to do it without. So sometimes I have done now these 30-kilometer hikes. The first I brought nacho chips and chocolate and tea. And then the last one I did, I ate before, and then on the hike I only brought water. But I had food at home, so I went for a 30-kilometer hike. I only came back at 1 at night, and I only had, I think I had a liter of water. Did I have more? Did I have tea also? It's possible. Well, it works. If you want to, you can simply do that. You go once for a hike, and then you just go nuts. You take whatever you want, and then the second time you take less, and then the third time, you see. Maybe you don't even bring water. Today I went for a maybe 3 or 4 hour hike, and I brought nothing. No drink, no food, just myself and the camera. And I did these last couple of recordings. So tired of living is often, it's just too much, Like watching movies, that's a really time-consuming habit. If you get rid of that, or you reduce it to once in a while a special movie, and you can say never rewatch anything. I have rewatched the movies that I wanted to rewatch, but then you can say, that's it. Now I am going to simply look for inspirations, because I also want to still live kind of in this kind of world to a certain degree. So if there's a movie once in a while that I would like to watch, then I'll go to the cinema, maybe buy popcorn or nachos or just nothing, and then I'll just watch a movie. Until that is simply too empty to continue. But I have these things. I fill right? If I really don't want to do anything anymore, then I'll go to the cinema and I'll watch a movie. And then I can never say, is this good, is this bad? Well, it was one step forward in my life, one experience, and I really like going alone to the cinema. In the cinema here, there's often nobody in it. You just go there, you're alone in the entire thing. And that's weird. How long can they maintain that? Hard to say, right? But I like it. So once in a while, I just go and do my own thing. And I just see what's happening. And there are things that I feel like I still have to clarify. Because right now, I'm just alone all the time. And that's all I can say. Maybe I'm just supposed to uphold some kind of meditation for people. But technically, I'm just alone all the time. Sometimes I see my parents, and sometimes you meet random strangers, or sometimes you meet people you remember. But I feel like there's nobody. There's just nothing going on. I'm just doing this thing, but in that sense, I have no real life. I'm just in here being creative. And then sometimes I leave the house and go hiking, but there is no real stable community for me. It's simply strange. I'm too detached, right? So I'm kind of not all there, but yet fully present. So all I can say to you is, when you're tired of living, then you have to start making new experiences, and you have to start moving. And you have to get yourself to an environment where there's fresh air. Whether that's a forest or anything else, you have to move. You have to push through. You have to get out the slime. Do whatever cleanse you want to do. Maybe an anorganic sulfur cleanse, or elemental. I don't know, in Germany it's just anorganischer Schwefel, anorganic sulfur, but in English I think it's called elemental or something, or inorganic sulfur. In Germany it's super easy to get. I have looked it up in English, and it was hard. For me, I thought it was harder to find. So it has to be a choice, and then healing will come your way. Your intention has to be, I want to live, I want to heal, and then you have to take your time. And that is going to take time. So yeah, while you still feel like watching movies, just watch the movies you feel like watching, until you no longer want to watch them. And then slowly let go of them. It was super liberating. I chucked the entire bag that I had of movies. And I had a lot. I had 50 DVDs and Blu-rays or something. Just chucked them all. Just threw them into the junk. Cheers. I just wanted it to be gone. And now I have more space. Sometimes I just watch movies online. But mostly I try to get by like this. I get the movie when I leave the house and I see a falcon circling around on top. Or I see a hare in the forest somewhere at the end. And I imagine, could I catch this? Would I want to? I'm kind of like a hunter, right? Hunting for experiences, that's how you have to be. But then hunt for the experiences you want. As nice as you think a threesome is, depending on what stage you're in, I'd go more for the stable, let's have children, husband and wife thing. Which I have tried to make clear in my content. Like, devotion is a very important part of my life. To be devoted to. So, to me also, paying back to your parents, to just be there and simply get used to them, and also show them that they're there, because their inner child may also have been injured, which is likely, because otherwise why would yours be injured? So, well, all I can say is, this is the 31st of December. Is there a kind of a meaning? Well, the last couple of years I have skipped on New Year's Eve. Last year I recorded my German podcast and finished it before the year was over, or recorded it into the new year. So I had that in the bag. And then I immediately started with YouTube again to see that that's going. I wrote a book, but it's all very hectic somehow. You know, I'm constantly doing something. I don't know how that's supposed to continue. Always rushing around doing stuff. From one place to another, and then I have to discover this hike and that hike, and then I have to go there and do this and that, and then I have to cook. Then I have to do laundry, and then my landlady annoys me with this kind of stuff, so it just keeps you busy. You're looking for small tasks in the beginning. And then you start changing, introducing change, letting other things fall away. Right, that kind of stuff. And then you simply work on your posture, you do your planks, right? You do your suffering. You have your quiet moments, you have your outbursts. I mean, I laugh. I often laugh. But sometimes I'm super stern. Right? I just cannot always be the same. So if you're tired now, maybe you just need to sleep a lot, listen to some audiobooks, check out some, I don't know, healing music. I'm not a fan of these subliminals because I don't know what message they put into this. So like Tibetan flute music, you know, that kind of stuff. And then just put that on, just lay down and, you know, sleep it out. And then go into the forest. You know, if it's a safe forest, I don't know. I mean, if there's like tigers running around, well, you'd probably call it a jungle. Or packs of wolves or bears. Okay, you'd probably want to sleep in a tree, right? So you have to check out your area. I don't know where you are. I just know here I could roll around naked, and the chance of hurting myself, I mean, that's just gonna be a few scratches and brambles. Would be a bit different if I knew there'd be packs of wolves running around. Or even a lynx would be kind of different. I mean, that would be, wow. Whew. That would be intense. So in a way, I'm happy at the moment the way it is, because it helps me to simply get used to it. But I also know in Africa there were leopards. But they said leopards never attack humans. But yeah, they do. But under which circumstances? I don't know, I had the feeling I managed to I was able to deal with these things quite well. So, tired of living, all I'm gonna say in this is you just have to figure it out. I mean, I've given you enough inspiration. Pick something and start. Learn how to juggle, learn how to crochet. All you need, you just look at the internet or you buy a book and then you just start. You know, knitting, pottery, that kind of stuff. But for that you have to take time away from things that you thought were super important. So less music, less all kinds of things, new music, right? Maybe listen to Irish folk music or something you remember. Check out Arto. It's an Armenian artist, musician called Arto Tunç Boyayaycan. He also has a compilation album with Serj Tankian, who used to be the front singer of System of a Down. Right, so there's a lot of people that are simply creative on their own. I work well with myself because I like to take my time and figure it out, and I really spend a lot of time honing my mind. And if other people try to get into it, then in the end it was my idea, and then they want to take credit for it, you know, that kind of stuff. And then they flatter themselves how much they did in this. And then it was actually a group project, but they say it's my book. And then you think, yeah, forget it. I'm just gonna do it by myself, you know. You know, I can do this by myself, then I can just focus on my content, work it off. Just see where this is going, focus on my movement, you know, holding planks, my yoga stuff, animal movement, go into the forest, walk on all fours. So I worked hard so that my body could do these things and I could actually enjoy the no slack, no line. Climbing on trees, just walking alongside trees on all fours, learning to stabilize myself on all fours, becoming more comfortable, turning it into monkey yoga, teaching people how to do active meditation in such a way, and then simply being amazed how much content you can actually create. I mean, I was literally clinging to that because it showed me something about myself. And podcasting is completely different than YouTube, of course, because it's got the visuals. But in podcasting you can also, it's different, because you can focus more on simply speaking. And then you've got, I mean, also in terms of content, I mean, you can do so many things, but you always have to keep track of yourself. So, I don't know, it's a hectic world. You have to be smart about this. You just have to find your place in this. And once you have that, there comes your spark. And then you just have to make sure you don't burn yourself out. I mean, you'll burn yourself out. I have burned myself out multiple times. But then I simply rested and crashed and slept. Because I didn't want to go too far anymore. So I also stopped with all the psychedelic stuff and simply started to breathe for it. But also, yeah, coffee and sugar. But now I almost never eat sugar anymore. And that's a major step for me. I mean, I can remember just eating a whole bag of cookies when I was younger. If I think of it now, I just think I will never do that again. So there's simply also a lot of foods that just fell away. I mean, maybe once a year I'll eat a Snickers, and that's it. You know, sometimes you buy chocolate, okay, but you know, I can just eat dal, make a curry. You know, I rather eat than ketogenic, a fish, you know, canned sardines, these things, mashed potatoes. I mean, I've shown my cooking. Milk rice with apple mousse, but without sugar. That's also much better for digestion. The oily ketogenic is easier to digest, but it takes a long time to get used to it. But anyway, that's just what I wanted to say. I don't know, I don't believe in any kind of resolutions. You just see where you are and then you start working. It doesn't have to be the 31st of anything. It doesn't have to be the 1st of anything. You just see where you are and then you start working. Right? Why wait for New Year's? I mean, if you want to change now. But then, right, keep working with that. Because you may fall back a couple of times. So let's see. Concepts for 2026 have already been flooding in. At least I know now that if I or when I finish off 2025, YouTube 2025, that I already have an anchor point how I'm going to continue in 2026. So the basic layout I have already received, which means I'm gonna continue, and that's gonna be interesting. Wow. I mean, I just went through all of this, and now suddenly, I'm working in my mind already on YouTube 2026. I mean, that's kind of insane. But first I have to work on these books. Okay, that's gonna be super... Yes! Sorry, but that's super exciting. I mean, the concept I just received... It's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it that way. Every year is gonna be a bit different. Every year is gonna be a bit different. And that's gonna keep it interesting. Okay. Cheerio. And, it's life. It's heavy, it's easy. It's just like that. And suddenly you land in this video and you keep listening and you think, what could be I do? What could be I? What could I be doing? Right? You take one thing, you start learning it, and then you apply that to other things. Right? You just have to build up. And then when one thing gets boring, I mean, we're not talking about relationships here. I mean, you're not gonna replace your wife because she bores you, because that's part of devotion. But I'm talking about, let's say you get bored of playing the guitar. Well, maybe try juggling for some time. Just focus more on your animal movement, right? Something is always gonna show up. If one thing becomes a drag, then focus on something else. Another part of your life or yourself needs honing. And then you're gonna get back to the other thing at a later stage. And that's it, right? I think that's the secret. Just keep learning. Keep learning. Take it all in. But only take the good stuff, okay? And never cheat on your wife or your husband, right? Cheers. I guess you're tired, tired of living, tired of all this nonsense. I guess you're tired, tired of living, tired of giving in to the experience. But believe me when I say I'm tired as well. There is nothing I can cling to. There is nothing I feel is there. I'm completely alone. All the time there is nobody that can stand me for too long. It's like they all sense betrayal. So who betrays you first? So I rather stay by myself and hope that I can build on my own turf, that I can make an experience worth living, that I can look ahead into the future and see myself with a child in my hand, with a woman in my arms, with something I call life. While I know that I've worked hard, while I know that I walked the distance, I know that I foresaw some troubles that I had to outmaneuver. So I'm living my own flow, but there is nobody here to spend time with, and so I'm constantly creative. It is heaven and it is hell. It is torture and liberation. It is everything and nothing. It is always and never. But it is an active choice. I have chosen. So many times I have chosen to do this instead of running around after friends or whoever. Because if I am a warrior, then what are you to me when you're clinging? You need to fight as well. We are fighting alongside each other. We are fighting to live another day. Each of us has their own dream to take responsibility for. And so I am also struggling. I may not live on the streets, at least not yet, but I have gotten a whiff. I knew I could do better, but I also needed help. So in my case it were my parents who could offer me financial help, but none emotionally. I am completely self-reliant on the way that I feel. But you also cannot lean on me because I give it back to you. For it freed me to take responsibility. It's the ability to respond to my own needs. So who are you
to force on me what you think best, while I know my own destiny. It got nothing to do with you. You mind your own business. I'm closing this door. You do you, but I watch out for myself. So I rather go hiking on my own than to follow some phony guide. I rather teach myself the birds that live outside than to listen to your teachings that I could also teach myself. This song is about to end, but it was just a reminder that when you are tired of living, then I tell you, you need to wake up. Make yourself a really strong tea, such as from the recipes that I have given, and then just boost through whatever you think this hell is. If you escape it, then you will never learn these lessons. Life is hard. Life is supposed to be hard. And it's the mastery of living, right, that we're trying to learn here. How to be a master at life. Everything that life throws at you is part of the challenge. So when you're tired of living, then what am I supposed to do? I'm tired of living, believe me. Or why do you think I just drank another coffee? Why do you think I work through the nights? Why do you think I worked so hard to finish YouTube for 2025? This is the last instance of recording. This is gonna be a threefold video. There's gonna come some poetry after that, and then there's gonna be a bit of a recording where I talk a bit. But that's your New Year's Eve 2025, which you decided to spend listening to me rather than somebody else. So maybe I'm a bit closer to what you think or feel life should be like. Well, now look at it. Look for it in your own life. Because that's your road through. Just something. My life is empty. And nothing I think I want is just being given to me. You have to earn everything. You want to be with a specific woman? Well, you have to earn that. You want to have your own space that you can fill and have fires and live in harmony and live in a commune? Well, nobody's just gonna come and give you that. You have to do something. YouTube is a form of community service. But do you think they'll just follow you if you cannot keep this up? Because they're gonna rely on you. So if you want this, then you have to work hard. You have to work your ass off. And you have to sacrifice many hours for your dream. In devotion to your vision that you've received. Nobody will understand this. You have received the vision. You need to take responsibility for it. It's your life, and you're in it, and it's never gonna stop being a drag until you start fighting and you start building up strength. But no matter how strong you'll be, it will never stop being a challenge until the very end. I have done this for quite some time now. Sometimes you get things, but the emotional weight, the hard stuff, the suffering, it will, when you think you've surpassed it, they're gonna dial it up a little. You know, whoever they is, I don't know, but I feel like there is somebody always doing something. Like, you know, this is like torture. I am being tortured while I'm being alone in my room. This is torture. It's torture. Even sex is torture. Why do you think mostly nobody really does Tantra? Because it's hell, my friend. It's hell. You're gonna be tortured to be purified. That's 1984. And it's gonna happen anyway. So it's easier to simply participate in it and to simply learn about what's happening. You know, why is it happening? And why does it feel? I mean, I have talked about this many times. This is like, there's stuff growing in your mind like weeds, and you are trying to take it out. It's like all this deforestation, that's like a weed, that needs to go. We have to rebuild nature. I mean, we don't have to do shit, because nature is gonna do it by herself. But we have to stop just taking it for granted. I mean, nature doesn't really care, believe me. I mean, she does in a certain way, but, you know, nature will prevail. It's not England. It's not whatever. Not even this language. It's all gonna go, but nature will stay. In one form or another. You know, let it be a desert, let it be a jungle. It's all nature, and life is going to find its way. That's Jurassic Park. It will find a way, no matter what we do. But the question is, do we want to participate in raping spirits and sucking them dry? Is that what we wanted? When you look at the world through the eyes of a child, is that what we wanted? Is this the life that we envisioned when we were young? Or is it something else? Is the hive corrupt? Of course it is. Of course it is corrupt. And I'm going insane trying to express this. Trying to shake people up a little. Because they're so down the drain, they don't even know any longer that they're in the drain. You know, they're paddling around in a boat, in an ocean of shit, and they think, oh wow. It's like going to Mordor and explaining to an orc that he's been tortured to be like this. It's like, what do you think he's gonna do? To him, you're gonna look like the devil, my friend. You know, you're an elf, right? You're an elf or whatever. An elf. You go there, like, oh, you're gonna be torturing him because of your light. So there's no need. Because he's gonna reject everything you say because he's been tortured to be twisted. To be sick and corrupt, that's how they wanted him. So he'd just follow orders. To do that to everything. Right? To every being he'll find, he'll be like that. And now you're with your light, you come to him and say, here, you know, I'm gonna heal you. He's gonna be like, what, you're trying to kill me? Of course he's gonna think that. And why? Why is healing so hard? Because you have to deal with the torment you've been dealt. And so, in a way, yes, healing is torture. Because you have to go through the torture again to accept it and let it go and to a certain degree, forgive your torturers. And that's part of the game. But not in the sense, I don't have to forgive you. I just let it go. I let you deal with it yourself. And then you simply try to keep giving, although you feel hatred. Yeah, we all do. So what can I do about it? As an individual, if I'm tired of living and all of this, well, I stay by myself until I feel better. I pick out the people that have been there all along, which in my case was family. This is your pack at the moment. But mostly nobody of them will ever understand or accept what I'm trying to tell them. Just as if somebody comes to me and tries to get me to use AI, I'm gonna reject it. I'm not even gonna participate in a creation that would involve AI. Because it's so useless. It's theft. I mean, if I read Dune, which is a great book that will teach you a lot about meditation and consciousness, which may explain to you what's going on with you. But don't let it get to your head, right? I mean, there's many of us. There's many people who live on the streets who have had exactly the same realizations as I have, who chose a long time ago to simply let it all go and just live on the streets and rather beg for money than, work in this system. I simply had the opportunity that my father was able to support me financially, so I could give back from what we also in my family, we stole from nature. I'm just trying to give it back by teaching people respect. And this is why shadow work is one of the most important things, which also means who's lurking in your shadows, who's whispering what into your ear. Because we've all got shadows. And I have family members who are so jealous of me, which makes no sense because if they'd be in my position, they'd be gone already. I'm facing this mostly by myself, and I have worked hard so I can be stable. But every time I try to push through any project, it doesn't matter what it is, it's always one level further. Every book I write, I have to be a bit better. So next year YouTube has to be also a little bit different. I have to grow in the meantime. I have to test myself. I have to ask myself. I'm constantly being drawn back to rapé. And I need to make the choice whether I can do this still. What about rapé? Is it gonna help me still? Or is it going to destroy me? Well, I cannot say. I have no idea. And neither can I pretend like I can stop. I have to continue. Or I start withering away. And today I made a very important choice. I went shopping. I bought mostly ketogenic stuff. I bought 5 bags of apples that I'm going to turn into apple mousse. And I'm going to I also bought fish, like canned salmon. And I was here again, I bought a bottle of wine that I'm going to turn into mulled wine. With cloves and anise and probably certain herbs, cinnamon. And I'm going to drink it, but that's not what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say is Oh wow, now I'm forgetting it. Yeah, I was here and I thought, I'm gonna rush out. I'm gonna run away and I'm gonna buy this cheap peanut butter from discounters, and I chose against it. I simply said, why? I have no need. And then I made more art. And now I'm here trailing off again, which usually happens, so I have to focus all the time. Which is why any focus exercise that speaks to you, do it. Pottery is focus, but you may not have stuff for pottery. But you may have lots of paper. So learning how to draw is a focus exercise. Doing crochet is a focus exercise. Weaving things, making your own rope, that's a focus exercise. Right? Crocheting your own carpet, that's a focus exercise. Music, anything creative that you do with your hands is a focus exercise. Even holding planks is a focus exercise, which is what yoga was mostly about. But what most people focus on in their yoga is how their butt looks like, because they wear really tight pants so that everyone can look at it. So I have no car, so I don't have to focus on it. I rather focus on myself, so I walk through my apartment, sometimes on all fours. So I focus on movement a lot. Movement, hardening up, training my hands, training my mind, honing my skills. Today I bought the 3rd volume of the Dragon Ball manga series in a newly opened manga store here in the city of Lunatic, where I am constantly residing. Wow, was that a prediction? Holy shit, am I gonna stay here? Am I never gonna leave again? Where I'm currently, I said constantly residing. Well, that's a possibility, right? That I'm actually never going to leave. That I am here to give stability, and the best way to give stability is if you stay. And that's all I can say, right? So I have bought it. It's about the school of Muten Roshi. And immediately I started to pick up on the idea of maybe at some point drawing something like a manga. But not in the manga fashion, but in my own way. So comics. So sometimes you read a book to inspire you to progress in your own creative thing. So I read Dune, so I learn a lot about how to weave what I've learned into stories, because I have lots of ideas for books that I'm still going to write. So I have so many ideas that I had to learn to focus on what I'm currently busy with. So now I'm finishing YouTube, so you need so many projects that you can never ever think of taking your own life. Because there's always something else to work on. So if YouTube gets boring, you make music. If music gets boring, you do something else. And now is the question, how devoted are you to this kind of life? How much time do you want to take away from all this socializing? Well, I have basically taken it all away. At the moment. So it may come back later in the form of my own wife, my own children, and then maybe real friends. But for that, I have to be stable. And I may have to take away the weight of the money thing. May have to take that out of the equation for other people. By earning a living, that's enough to provide a whole commune with the resources that it needs until it is stable and can produce its own food and stuff. So that may be a goal, and depending on where you live, you may have actually land, and then you just have to see that It's not bought all by giant corporations that turn it into housing projects, but that it is for people who want to live in nature, with nature, and learn and communicate with and through spirit. And that is weird, because it's a completely different language than what people are speaking here. And this is something worth learning, because there are many like me who are simply hiding. I started to come out in the open because I realized that it needs to be communicated. And I started doing it, and I had training before. But I still am often tired of living, and I wish I could just stop. But then, what else am I gonna do then? Sink back? I think not. At one point, this is gonna carry itself, and you just have to push through. So keep on breathing. Just breathe through it. Right? And that's all I can say at this stage. Just to see. And anything, if I buy HP now or not, all this is going to be is a temporary escape. It may push me through, give me some kind of a vision, help me to realize something, but it is not, in that sense, what is doing it. I have to do what I said I would do in the end. So no matter what I do, if I smoke or if I drink or if I eat this or that, or if I have sex, in the end I have to do what I wanted to do. And if I can still do that, despite the fact that I'm smoking, in the way that I think, I ought to be doing it, well then, do whatever you do. But I realized for myself that smoking is a waste of time and I could be spending that different. I'm simply curious at this stage. I don't know, I just feel like Rapé could help me for some time. Because there is something that I'm trying to get rid of, and if I do it every couple of months, because I'm still alone and nothing's changed, and I'm just saying, screw it. I'm sick of waiting for women. I can be an emotional support for people, but I have to do my own thing. So I'm not in that sense a pure yogi, I'm also a shaman. If I would be a pure yogi, I probably wouldn't eat meat. So I'm different. That I have learned. Now I have to simply accept it, take responsibility for it, and then try to push through it. And that is, I should say, an idea that sparked at some stage of my life, that I can share myself to a certain degree, but that I also need to set boundaries. So this video is really gonna drag itself out, and it's gonna end with all the art that I have made up until now. I have a couple of more artworks that I'm gonna do just now, I think, and then I'm simply going to make this video. And that's then the end of 2025. And then I'm gonna work on books, do my hiking, figure out more hikes, push through my boundaries, see what's happening, see who likes to join on these adventures that I set myself, which are simply mind-blowing, right? And a lot of people are scared to try it. But I'm eager. I want to do this. I want to see myself as a family man. I still feel like I have chosen a woman. I still feel like she's the one who's super afraid of this. She was from the beginning. But I cannot re-choose. I cannot pick anyone else, then I say it has to be her. And as long as she's wiggling out of it, for whatever reason, I'm here on my own. I cannot take another woman, simply because of my resolve as a man to say, I have chosen this woman, and if I was wrong, then I wasn't wrong. Then I just am supposed to lead a different life. So maybe that's the story of Aragorn, who I can see myself as. It just seems ridiculous to assume such a thing, but to me, the industry is Mordor. And we are being ruled by orcs, defiled, tortured beings that are twisted and that see no value in life and that just want to suck the earth dry. We are being ruled by orcs. We have been born into Mordor. And that's the reality. We're already past, the moment, the Shire wasn't saved, it was taken over. And now we have to fight for it and get it back, because it has already been stolen. And that's the story. We came back too late. Or we died somewhere else. And now we're living in this mess, in this toxic world. But there are still lands outside of this that are basically unpopulated. And that if we start to learn about communal living, we can give value to a quiet life without having to wage war against anyone who prefers a different life. We can show people that they can heal. But we also have to make sure to protect this from, communes need to have only a certain amount of people. You cannot overburden a commune, right? So then there has to be different communes. And each will be different. Each will have a different kind of style, but there has to be a leader. It needs to be this way. Somebody has to call the shots. So, whether there's gonna be an election or not, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm a nomad. Maybe I will stay nowhere longer than I need to and then just move on and leave my own trail of experiences so I can keep feeding my podcast or whatever, right? Just go hiking with my children and my wife. If we don't have to travel, then we travel anyway, right? We just make round trips, That may be the life. We always just come back. We may go for 5 days or 2 days hiking into the forest, spending time there, and then we always come back. And that takes time to build up. So, yeah. Why am I talking so much? Does it really matter? Cheerio.